Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Real Relatable. I'm your host, Donna Polk, here with a new guest, a very new friend, and I'm very excited to have Cerose here on the podcast.
Thank you for that introduction. Hey, y'all. Like she said, my name is Cerose. I'm very familiar to the whole podcast, social media, YouTube space or whatever. That's actually what I do like full time. But Miss Donna here invited me to be on her podcast today. And I was like, you know what, girl? Yes, but there's a little bit of a twist. I'm actually going to be interviewing Miss Donna today.
Not a twist.
Yeah, girl.
Not a twist. Okay.
Let
Let me get ready for this.
So as the guest today, Donna's actually my guest. I'm taking over the podcast today, and we're going to interview her. Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about what you said the name of the podcast was, Real Relatable, right?
Yes.
How did you come up with that? What was the inspiration behind Real Relatable?
I can't believe you're flipping the script right now. We're here and this is happening and there's no going back. Whose idea was this?
Right.
Gosh, I started the podcast. I was still married when I started the podcast. So that's been at least 6.5 years, maybe 7 going on. And I started because I just wanted to like share stories and to just have like a community of people. And at the time, it was more specific, like, towards motherhood, you know, and, like, things like that. And so I wanted to talk about motherhood and parenting and, you know, postpartum, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And just to be able to, like, have people come together in a way in which they would not feel like they're alone or like they're on their journey by themselves.
Yeah.
And so, especially because, like, through social media, if I would, like, share certain things and people would, like, send me, oh, my gosh, like, I was thinking the same thing, or like I thought it was only me, stuff like that. So that kind of really birthed this concept of creating Real Relatable.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I find that to be so true because I would say when we first met, to just give a little bit of background about how Miss Donna and I
The
met.
making of Donna and Cerose.
Actually, hold on. Do you want to tell that story? Because I was looped in, right? You actually met somebody else prior.
Yeah. So my friend Charmaine.
Yes.
Charmaine and I, we go back a few years, and she's been in real estate for longer. I just got into real estate about, let's call it 1.5 years or so now. Yeah. And in a conversation with her over lunch one day, we were like, we need to get like all of our Black women realtors together, especially here in Idaho. And when she told me that, I was like, yeah, we do, you know, and if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to fucking get people together. Okay. Yeah. So she tells me about Mary, and then I get to meet with Mary. Then Mary tells me about you and Denise and Taylor. And so I'm like sliding into everybody's DMs like, hey, girl, heard you're a realtor. Want to grab lunch? Like, and that's pretty much the birthplace of how our friendship has formed.
Yes, it was real fun. So we went to, where was it? Percy.
The Percy.
Downtown Boise. Our first little meeting. We were there for God knows how long.
We were there for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was a long
just like
time.
Chatting and yapping. And I feel like every time after that has pretty much been like the same story. Chatting and yapping.
That's how we ended up here.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I love that. So going back, though, to the concept of Real Relatable, right? Mm-hmm. Like going back to what you just said, I love that concept because it's like what you mentioned about people sliding into your DMs and saying like, oh, you know, I thought that I was the only one going through this or whatever. I feel like that's kind of like one of the things that we were able to connect on, right? People are multifaceted and we were able to connect on so many different things. Yeah. Being Black women in Idaho, which is an interesting experience in itself. Do your viewers know that you're from Ohio?
They should know.
They should know.
If y'all don't know at this point, like, where have you been?
Yeah, but moving to Idaho and living over here, like, as a Black woman, that's a completely different experience. But then also being a Black entrepreneur is another experience within itself. Being a Black mother, being a single mother, we just were able to relate on so many different things. So I want to backtrack and talk about, you mentioned your divorce, right? Now we're getting into the tea, the juicy stuff. Yeah, because I'm divorced too. So it's it is what it is. Yeah. But as far as that goes, let's dive a little bit more into that. You got divorced 6 years ago, right? You got one son.
Yes.
You know, they say that there's something different about women who like will have one child and then sit the fuck down. Like,
I can
apparently y'all are
imagine.
built
Yeah.
different. I believe it too, because it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
learned my lesson. You know, like now I'm chilling. I'm focused on me. I'm with my
Yeah.
son. You know, that kind of stuff. How old is your baby?
He will be 9 this year.
Wow, so
I
he's
know.
a big kid.
I know. But I want more kids. I
Yeah.
want, like, to get married again. And so, like, I'm not trying to be a one kid and sit down.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat down, but I'm trying to get the fuck back up. You know what I mean?
Right, you're like, give me this shit up.
Yeah.
I love that. So, divorced or married, right? Because that's how it starts. Married, divorced. Now, where are we? What are we doing? Are we seeing anybody? I know the answer.
Not you bringing this online. I know. Now I'm really sweating.
Oh, snap. She's like, I'm taking Cerose's mic away.
I know, right? And thank you so much for joining us on this. Yeah, so I met someone in the real world, which is like hard to do.
Yeah.
Hard to do. But we met at this R&B event out in Cuna, of all places. And they were like mutual friends, you know, like different small groups that all came together like, oh, hey, you know, and then we all started like hanging out together.
Yeah.
And, or not hanging out, but like dancing and whatever. And so later in the night, he asks me to dance. And I was like, he asked me like, would you like to dance? And I said, yes, I'd like to. And I mean, at this point, we both hadn't been like we had been kind of playing around, like sharing mics and singing and like whatever, because it's like, it's R&B, we're like vibing to the music and stuff like that. And all of us were vibing, right?
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, you know, I'm happy to dance. And it was very respectful of just like, I want to say like kind of like a 2-step, like sway, whatever, like just face to face, not no back to, back to face or whatever, right? Like we weren't spooning on the dance floor. And it was really nice. And so we danced a couple songs after that, and he was like, I'm going to say he was impressed. I need to get clarification, but I think he was impressed because there were some like stepping songs that came on, and he's from the south side of Chicago.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and
Chicago.
And I grew up going to Chicago all the time because I have family there. And so stepping is, I'm familiar, but I'm not like as well versed in it as I am with like my Latin dancing, for example. And so, and also like I know how to follow, so I can, you know, get along with that. Anyway, so he just like seemed to be like happy because he hadn't stepped in a long time.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think kind of transported back to Chicago, although we were very much so in Cuna.
Yep.
Right. And anyway, so we were like chatting a bit like while we were dancing. And then at the end of the night, he asked for my phone number. And then he walks me to my car. And yeah, like we chatted for a little bit longer. And then later on, we end up like setting up a date, and the rest is history. And by history, it's only been a month. So
it's been a month.
Not like, yeah.
Girl, well, you know what? I feel like you got to give credit where credit is due, right? Because I feel like we live in a society and a generation where all everybody is about is instant gratification, right? If it would have been anybody else, I feel like the story would have been like, yeah, and then we went back or they fucked in the car. Like, you know what I mean? Like some crazy shit. So I think that's really respectful. And like the fact that y'all have been going steady, if you will, for a month is like, it's super cute. So in terms of like dating, right? Because I feel like, and maybe it might be a little bit different for you. I feel like it's different. It depends on the individual. But dating as a single woman, no children, anything like that is very different from dating as a single mother.
Yeah.
And so kind of like now that you're taking a step back into this dating world, because I believe prior to meeting, we're going to call him Greenbelt, right?
Greenbelt,
It's a whole different story, y'all. But prior to meeting Greenbelt, it had been like a year, right? Before you had like since
my last kiss.
So, snap.
Yes,
Yeah. So like tell us a little bit more about that. Like what about Greenbelt was like, oh, like, you know, like, yeah. I like this. Let's get into it.
Well, even like getting to dance with him felt really nice, to be honest. Like for the record, he is a very tall man. He is 6'8", y'all. And I am a solid, hardly 5'4". And so there's something like really cozy and comfy about just like being up in there, you know?
Yeah.
And the man's got fucking rhythm. Like he's got rhythm. He's smooth. Like very respectful, all of that. And so when after our first date, I could like tell that he might have wanted to kiss me, but he didn't like initiate, he didn't say anything, and I was okay with that because like for me, and I've certainly shared this on the podcast, so this is like new to you, but like I'm not having sex with nobody. Not until I'm not saying till marriage. I'm not saying till marriage. I'm just saying like the way that I'm moving now is like I need to be in a relationship and heading toward marriage where we both are sure like that is our destination.
Right.
And not just like, yeah, we're going to be together for like a couple months, couple years. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like I need definitive, I need like all of that reassurance and confidence that not just like within myself, but also with the other person, like we are going to be together.
Yeah.
You know? And because I have my fun, right? Like I might have had too much fun at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm just not I'm just not there.
Yeah.
And so and he's well aware of that. And well, after like I think it was after our second date, that's when like I chatted with him briefly about that to like a certain degree because I made a comment I shouldn't have made. It was like a sexual innuendo. I'm like, why did I say that? You know what I mean? So it was like I had to check myself and I said, I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. Because, like, the thing about me, too, is, like, my humor, I think, is more dry. Not all the time, but sometimes it is more dry.
Yeah.
And what were we doing? It was, like, I was, like, eating lunch or something like that. And something came up about, like, oh, just, like, swallow. It wasn't just... It was something about the word swallow came up. And I was like, I haven't done that in a while. But you know what I mean? So, like, I was like, I should not have said that. But it's funny to me. But, like, I also don't do that. Anyway, that came up.
Yeah.
And so I was like, just to let you know, like, I am not having sex with anybody. Like, talk to him about that. Anyway, so after our second date, this is how he got the nickname Green Belt because we went on a date and walked along the Green Belt for like several hours and talked and whatever, and it was really nice. And after that date, he asks me, would it be too forward if I kissed you? And I was like,
oh, look at her getting giddy up.
I'm sweating. I really am sweating though. And so I was like, no, I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like just admirable to ask in that way. And I hadn't been kissed before that since January of 2025. And that was like someone I was hanging out with for a bit and whatever. Like it wasn't going to work out. And I just was like no longer interested.
Yeah.
And I've been on dates and like a few dates since then, but like none to the degree to which I felt like I was connecting enough with somebody or I was interested enough or maybe they weren't interested in me.
Right.
You know? So anyway, that's basically how long it took to...
Okay, so take me back to this kiss. Let's talk about what really mattered. How was it?
It was good. It wasn't like... There was no tongue involved. It was just like very like... I don't know. Just... I want to say peck... It wasn't like that either. You know what I mean? It just was like a respectable like kiss. You know what I mean? And then as I like pulled off, I immediately sent a voice note to my friends. I was like, you guys, I'm no longer a virgin.
You're like, it's been popped. I got a kiss for the first time in like a year.
Yeah, over a year. So yeah, awesome. It was really nice.
I'm glad you shared that with me, right? Because the whole time, and I'm trying to keep it real PG because I feel like anybody who knows me knows my brain was like immediately like, "What are y'all
Did
fucking?"
You fuck yet?
Yeah, you know. So I was like, I'm glad you said that. So you're practicing abstinence currently, I'm assuming, or celibacy, whatever it's
people
called. Like
sure.
Right?
I ain't fucking nobody.
That's
what it's called.
Nobody. Exactly. Point blank period. You're not fucking anybody. What do you think, right? Because like moving forward, you said you're not waiting till marriage. So I'm assuming it's not a religious thing or like anything like that. It's more so just like
it's a spiritual thing.
Right. It's
like,
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like sharing your energy with somebody in that way or like opening up your body in that way. It just, there's a time where I didn't value it in the same way, right? Or the way that I experienced some things or my takeaways from those experiences from a child, and my listeners know this too. I was raped when I was 12 by two people and had to go through like court cases and whatever. And then when, like, when that happened, I went the route of, oh, well, that's just what your value is. Like, you have sex with people, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do. And so I didn't really understand the concept of valuing myself in that way, or having, like, my self-esteem high enough to hold off
Yeah.
until, like, much later.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I say that to say, I ain't fucking.
You ain't fucking nobody.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that back. I want to thank you again. We've talked about this before, but thank you again always for being so open and honest and
Yeah.
vulnerable enough to share your story. Because I feel like there are so many times where a lot of women tend to feel ashamed, if you will,
Mhm.
about the things that happened to them.
Yeah.
Even though we know that it's not,
Yeah.
your fault. And that's a huge thing to be going through, and an even bigger thing to share with so many people. So
Yeah.
thank you. Viewers, say thank you.
That's right.
For just being vulnerable, okay? And then I don't want to get too sappy, you know what I
That's
mean? Because I
okay.
could really cry. For
Yeah.
things like that. So that's why I'm like, okay, say what I got to say, then move on, bitch. Before
Yeah.
I start tear it up. So backtracking to your whole abstinence journey. You've been abstinent for a year or so.
Almost 2 years. Going
Almost
on
2
2,
years
yeah.
now. How would you say that it affects your dating, like, in today's society, right? Where people, they want that instant gratification. If you're not fucking me, talking, that type of thing.
It's not working out great for some guys. You know what I mean? I mean, it's working out great for me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to, like, have someone who wants to know my body
Right.
and know what I like. And similarly, like, I want to know their body and what they like, and, like, get to explore and get to experiment. And but that's, like, for us, and not because, like, you've done the same shit with other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
For
don't get me
sure.
wrong, I think there is some, I don't want to say, there's some merit, I guess, in having had those experiences, because then also, like, person or whatever, like, you guys can, you know what I mean? It's maybe
Yeah.
not too awkward or whatever. However, I do think, like, getting to explore that together and getting to know those things together also heightens the experience and makes you want to stay, and not like, oh, well, I can just do literally the same thing with somebody else, you
Yeah.
know? But having, like, that emotional connection and then the physical connection and all of that, just, like, really just wrap it in a bow. And it
Right.
just, like, in my mind, that just seems really beautiful, and that's something that I want to experience, and not
Yeah.
like just getting my rocks knocked off.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I
like,
hear
a girl got
you.
needs, like, you know?
I hear
And sometimes the things at home aren't the same.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yes.
Lord knows.
Yeah.
But going back to that, do you ever feel like sometimes guys will pursue you almost like as a challenge, right? Because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, she said she's not fucking. Let's see if I could try and get
Yeah.
in there, right? Do they
Yeah.
end up all like surly disappointed?
Yeah, so there's this guy a couple years ago that basically they were in, like, this long relationship, and we were in, like, a same, like, group or whatever. And when they got out of that relationship, and I had, like, always found him attractive, you know. And so when he got out of that relationship and we were just, like, talking after this group setting, I was like, oh, like, really, you know, disappointed for them to know that they had broken up. But then also I was like,
Yes. Oh, I'm about to die.
I'm crying. So anyway, like, we kissed and whatever, and, like, that was pretty much it. But fast forward to maybe, like, a year or so later, and we actually, like, hung out more, you know. And we had this, like, time where at the time I was working at a hotel as a director of sales, and there was a new hotel that came online that was direct competition because it was another luxury boutique hotel.
Yeah.
And so my boss was like, well, you need to do, like, a comp set, not just tour, but, like, experience, which is normal in the industry, where you basically go, you spend the night, you order food, like, you just want to know what they have to offer as a guest and compare that to, you know, yourself as a guest, or
Yeah.
what your guest would experience at your hotel. And so when he told me that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll get a room booked and like, go have dinner and whatever. And so I messaged this guy. I was like, hey, like, I need to do a comp set experience at this hotel. Do you want to come with? And at this point, too, he knew, like, I was not, a few things. I wasn't going to be a rebound for him, even though that was, like, a year after their breakup. But still, like, I'm not being anybody's rebound, and I'm not having sex with anybody. Like, he knew that. So when we stay at the hotel, I did get special favors. And I wasn't against that, you know what I mean? Yes, those special favors. And they weren't reciprocated, which, like, might contribute to why I didn't hear from him after. But I just, like, he knew what it was, you know what I mean? Like, I am not having sex and I'm not doing these things, but, like, if you want to do that, I'm not against it.
Hold on. Do you want to tell the viewers explicitly?
Not explicitly. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. You all are picking up what she's putting down, okay?
Yeah. And so like we didn't end up having sex. Anyway, fast forward to like probably maybe 4 months later, 3 or 4 months later, we get into this group setting again, and all of a sudden I start seeing him with one of these like other women. I was like, oh, okay. Well, so one of my friends told me like, oh yeah, so-and-so, they're seeing each other and da-da-da. I was like, oh, okay. So it turns out they slept together like a couple weeks after I saw him, and they have been together since. And I was like, ugh, like, so then I felt gross because then I was like, it seems like the only way that you would have maybe continued to like interact with me or like talk to me or whatever is if I had slept with you. And I didn't want to be diminished to my, my ability to give it up, especially having known him for years, And so I was really disappointed to learn about that. And then I just like felt some kind of way about it. And I guess that like goes to show too, I'm glad that I didn't give it up because I don't want somebody to stick around just because I have sex with them. Yeah. And then also like if I did have sex with them and he still didn't stick around, I would have felt worse about myself, And I know like how I would feel in those instances, and I don't want to feel like I gave up everything. Yeah. So I want to like if something doesn't work out, at least I can leave with my dignity intact. Exactly. And not have like given them the most that I could.
Exactly. And I hear you on that. By the way, y'all, I'm not laughing at anything that she was saying. I'm laughing because I'm thinking to myself, this man wanted to play Coochie Monster, okay? Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, you said it was
within a few weeks.
A few weeks, he's posted up with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't find out about it until later, So in the meantime, in between time, I'm over here like, why haven't I heard from him? Yeah. Like that's kind of annoying, especially again, like we had years of like rapport and whatever built like from a platonic standpoint, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it just like ventured into like a little bit more just like interest and whatever. Yeah. But and meanwhile, like I too like had met this other person, and I was hanging out with them and like passing the time, basically getting special favors, and like that was it. But I still had him on my mind, and so. That's kind of
know what else surprised me about that situation though too is that you were like, you can do whatever you want to me. I know. Like, I'm not getting into that with you. You made your boundaries very clear. And you stood on that. Yeah. So I'm like, claps and snaps from Miss Donna, y'all.
I know. Well, even now I'm like, I don't like even with Greenbelt, for example, like I am very attracted to him, and I think like he is a very sweet man and would be. It's like that balance of like this masculinity with like the amount of softness where you can feel soft, you know what I mean? Just like creating like that safe space. Like I think that could be like a really beautiful experience with them. Mm-hmm. But also like I don't even want to get to the point where I might be getting special favors because that means I got too many clothes that are not on to where that might be misleading, or maybe like when I talked to my therapist about the other guy, she was like, well, that could feel like rejection to him if, not reciprocating that kind of sexual favor. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could see that. I'm not rejecting him. I'm just accepting what he's giving me and not giving it back. But so I don't want to blur potentially those lines either. And like, haphazardly make someone feel that way, but also I need to have enough control to where I don't need to have that be done.
Yeah.
Because like even sharing my body to that extent, I need to have self-control on that too.
I hear you on that. And I love it. I
Yeah.
love the self-reflection. I love the whole nine. Going back to Greenbelt, though, in this situation, right? Because I'm like, he's the topic at hand. He's the one that we have kind of like right in front of us, like right now. With your whole journey through abstinence and celibacy, whatever you want to call it and stuff like that, now building this relationship, there's clearly a strong attraction, not only emotionally and mentally, but physically. When does the point come for you where you're like, you know what? I might, you know what I'm saying? I might want to do a little something.
Yeah, I can't say that there's a time frame. I don't know that you can like sort of quantify how long, so much as you quantify like your feelings and you quantify the consistency and the establishment of like us together. So if that's 3 months from now, if that's 6 months from now, like whatever that is what is more important to me, to know like the feelings and the establishment versus like the length of time.
So far so good though.
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah. And then going back to that point as well, when you're seeing somebody, right, that you have a child involved in the situation as well, kind of like is that a similar timeline or similar process for you where it's like, I'll introduce you to my child when, or like, how does that work? Because does he have any kids?
He doesn't.
Okay.
No, he wants kids though.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would like to focus on establishing a relationship with us and establishing our dynamic and getting to understand like how they would be as a potential bonus parent. Because I'm not looking for another like parent necessarily for my son. His dad is fantastic. Like he's a great father. We co-parent really well. I'm just looking for someone who would be like another parental figure that is like, okay, yeah, I can go to, you know, so-and-so for this, or they can also maybe at some point step in and be some amount of an authoritative figure, but from a sound place, you know? And where I've gone wrong in the past in introducing Gray, like the last person was like a few years ago, and Gray was like he really loved him, right? Like their relationship was really cute and I was like really happy, but I didn't give it enough time for him to show his ass before I introduced him to my son, and that was my mistake, right? And so, but then again, like it's up to me to have that conversation with my son after, like, you know, so and we, you know, we're not going to be together anymore. And we were long distance as it was. So those interactions were like few and far in between. But he knew that mommy had a boyfriend. Right? And sometimes like he would want to talk to him on the phone or whatever. And like it was very cute. Yeah. And I didn't take it lightly. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't take it lightly. But I didn't do my best discernment. I didn't give it more time, whatever that time was. Right. Like, again, it's hard to quantify because you have some people who are going to be, you know, a certain way for a certain amount of time, and then they change, or like then the real them comes out. And then you have people who are like, no, they're consistently going to be this way, you know? So anyway, it didn't work out, and I had to talk to my son about that. And now I'm like, well, like even in this situation with Greenbelt, in this like short amount of time, previously I would have navigated that differently. Yeah. I would have already fucked him. Oh. I would have.
Yeah. We're like, that's the tea. That's what
I know. And to all you motherfuckers who I done fucked before, like, you're welcome.
I'm dead. Okay.
So anyway, I feel differently about like how this is starting. I feel more like confident and having like higher self-esteem legitimately than maybe I thought I had before, or like what I thought I was portraying before. And yeah, I feel good about it. And so like getting to learn about what he does and his, like with his family or with like his neighbors, and them, like his neighbors' kids seeing him like as an uncle, that says a lot to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you don't just be up here talking about, oh, my neighbor who I have no relation to, their kids call me Uncle Greenbelt, for example. Like that's a big deal to me, you know? And so I say that to say it's like more character defining.
Yeah.
And brings that reassurance that I'm looking for, you know what I mean, about him as a person. And the rest of it is just like confirming our compatibility as a potential couple.
Okay. I love that. In general, what would you say when you're looking for a man? What is like a huge red flag that you're like, I won't even talk to you. I'm not even going to entertain you. Stay far away
A lack of self-restraint.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that could be a variety of things.
Right.
The guy that I was telling you about from the group setting, I realized now what's actually like, I'm not attracted. He's an attractive person. I'm not attracted to him anymore, you know? And
that was a bar. You can be attractive and still have people not be attracted to you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And the way that he moves, right? Like, there's often drinking, there's often like marijuana, there's, you know, those things. And like, I just don't really find that to be attractive. I think, you know, to some degree, it impairs what you were like supposed to just like be able to know or do, or you know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, like I like used to drink and like I've had like gummies here and there, but that's because I drank too much and then I need to go to sleep. But yeah, but so I'm not knocking that. It just like, and maybe it's just because of the settings that we were in, like that was just kind of like part of a lot of people do. But I just don't find that to be attractive. And so I think about like even my ex-boyfriend. This was part of the demise of our relationship, is that I started to like grow this disdain for him and grow this like sense of contempt, because when he was drinking, then he would also speak to me sideways. And I really didn't like that. And he would drink at like random times. It's like 10 a.m. and he's like cracking open a beer. I'm like, get a fucking bottle of water. Like, I don't know. And so I'm not trying to control what anybody else does. It's just more so me being like, okay. And I told my boyfriend at the time this, I'm like, well, maybe it's just that I don't talk to you when you're drinking. Because I don't like when like these jokes that aren't funny, like they don't land and it's actually offensive. Yeah. I don't like that. Right. And so basically what I'm learning more of is recognizing like more of those red flags, and then also making sure that I'm removing myself and not trying to like control somebody else in their actions.
I hear you. That's a good one. What would you say is a green flag that is like not talked about enough? Like something for you that is like, maybe other people would see it as a beige flag, or we just don't pay enough attention to this green flag.
Yeah. I think that when men have, and maybe even just people, but when men have solid relationships with other men, you know, and yeah, like that's important to me. Like I have this whole like I call it application. It's not really application. It's more of like a checklist. And I have like several items on there for like how they take care of themselves. Are they like emotionally stable? Are they like mentally sound? How they like just all of these things, and put it on a scale of like 0 to 10, because these are things that are important to me, like for qualities of a partner. And so the self-check there is like, okay, well, if I say that having someone who has, you know, good relationships with other people or other men or whatever, and they have community, like, because I have community, right? I need somebody else to also have their community, and then we like bring communities together, because like that's cute and fun, and we're like building a life and like gonna get married and have 4 children and whatever. So
wait, 4 more on top of the 1? You want 5 kids in total?
No, I said 4, but it's probably more like a 2.
So you only want 1 more?
No, I mean like 2 more.
Oh, 2 more. So you want to have 3 in total?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
period.
Right? Like, I just, anyway. So if I am scaling one of those items at like a 4 or 5, but I say this is really important to me, like, what am I doing with that person? Or are there other things that outweigh that where it's like, okay, well, maybe not everybody wants to work out, for example.
Right.
Like, that's okay, but like, are you still taking care of your health in other ways? Like maybe eat well, or maybe just go on walks or whatever. Like your physical health, and I'm not meaning like being like in crazy good shape or anything. It just, your health is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to like gauge all of those things. But the application or checklist, if you will, helps keep me in check
Mm-hmm.
to be like, am I spending time with, am I putting in energy? And putting energy into someone who is in line or aligned with part of my core values of a
Right.
partner.
Do you have them fill this out? Like you print it out?
No,
and you're
this is for me.
Okay,
No,
I was like,
no,
fill
no, no,
out this
no.
application, please.
No, like, and that's what I mean. Like I say application, but it's more of like a self checklist for me from what
Okay.
I can. And maybe that changes. Like, if I filled out one for green belt right now, it could be, da 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 X.
Mhm.
But like as we continue to know each other, maybe it grows in one area, maybe it goes back in one area. Like I
Mhm.
don't know. But just the more that you get to learn about people, and the more that you get to experience them, it allows you to fill out this checklist in a way that's like more holistic
Yeah.
of who they are, and not just like getting stuck in your mind of like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like those like almost like the chemical rush of like someone new and like
Yeah.
da 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 da, but like taking a step back and being able to reflect on the person who's actually in front of you.
Right. I love that. So we've talked a little bit about dating in terms of motherhood. We've talked about dating in terms of physical intimacy.
Mhm.
Now I want to talk a little bit more about dating in terms of your career, right? Because
Yeah.
you are a successful real estate agent.
Yes.
She's doing her thing in real estate. You got your own house. You got your own car. You can provide for yourself. You're doing very, very well. This is a INDEPNDE. Like, you know, right? Do you know what that means? An independent woman. So in regards to that, do you find it to be more difficult to be in these spaces with men, modern day men in general, where there is that competition, right? Like in terms of the traditional values, like, you're a go-getter, you have your own life, you have friends, you have community, you're out there, right? All that stuff. Do you think that that's ever a point of like contention, like when you're dating men?
Yeah, but it's a point of contention with someone I don't want to be with anyway.
Period.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Like, right, like one of the poetry slams, that was a bar right
Yeah.
there. You don't want to be with somebody like that
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
So is it just like, okay, on to the next, right? Because what kind of pushback do you get being a successful woman? Yeah, I'm curious as to like what the pushback is. Is it like financial, or is it just like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't need me, you could take care of yourself, you got it type thing?
They're not interested in me.
At all.
No, I think what I have noticed is that the men who would like fall into that kind of line where they like master and the provider, like
Mhm.
like to that, like macho man, you know, like the men that are like that, I don't attract them, and which is fine. Like I'm not, upset about it. But from like the rhetoric or kind of the mindset that I can see through social media or whatever, and align that with maybe some men, maybe I've chatted with them, like on an app or something, 'cause they just like face value, they think I'm pretty whatever. And then like you just notice like you're not really vibing, you know what I mean? And then you just move on. So like, sure, I'm sure it's a problem for somebody, but like that's their problem and I don't really
Right.
care. On the flip side of
Yeah.
that, I have dated men who would maybe unconsciously see the success that I've had as some amount of a threat. And like my ex, for example, I'm not like, this is my assumption. This is the only way that I can make sense of like what was happening.
Right.
Because I had this man who like, really loved me, and like he was coming out here to Boise and like all of these things. But then when he would drink and he would like say things not very kind to me, And part of what we were doing like in our relationship, in part to stay connected, but then also like get to learn each other more. There's a book by the Gottmans called The 8 Dates or 8 Dates. And each date has like a certain topic. One of the topics being finance and where you're at financially. I am by no means perfect. Like, I just want to be very clear. I am not perfect. I just have goals, right?
Right.
And so we were talking about like finances and like, again, this is the intention of like merging your families. He had already met my son. He met my dad, which literally like hardly anybody meets, because my dad lives in Florida, right? And he met my sister and she don't like nobody, but she liked him, you know? And it was a whole thing. He even met my ex-husband, and literally nobody has ever met my ex-husband, right?
Lord, it was
So
serious.
that's what I mean. Like it was to that point. Anyway, so we're having these like conversations and talking about finances, and I learned that he had a joint checking account still with his ex-wife in an effort to tackle their like $60,000 of credit card debt that they had accumulated together. And I was like, oh, like having a joint checking account with someone is wild. Like I didn't even have that in my marriage. So to hear that my boyfriend at the time, who had been divorced for a few years, has a joint checking account with his ex-wife so she can go pay the bills, and he wasn't even really sure how much credit card debt was left, but he just put money into that account. Like that was a little jarring for me. And so I mean, I just asked questions. I was like, okay, well, do you know how much it is, or how much do you pay a month, or, like when do you anticipate that this is going to be paid off and whatever. And he was like starting to get defensive about it because it turns out it's a sore topic for him, right? But again, we were reading this book. We're supposed to be talking about all of this. And so, I'm like, at the time I had some amount of student loans left. I had my car. I had, like I say normal debt, but like it was my car, student loans, credit card, and then my house. Like those are my debts. And my credit card debt was like, I don't know, a few $1,000s, like nothing crazy. That's what it was, And so, I had my intentions of like, paying all these things off. And like, I was really like, I got to get this done because I don't want to have it. And I know I need to work through it.
Yeah.
But I just like go through the steps, But for him, it was like, it stressed him out to even consider how much was on multiple credit cards to add up to that amount. And like, I didn't even realize, like, to have multiple credit. It was surprising to me. Like,
multiple credit cards.
Yeah, I mean, I have one. Like, I don't know. I wasn't judging. I just was like so surprised in that he didn't know. Like, what you mean you don't know? Like, I need to know. I need to know what's going on. Like, and how can we be talking about getting married if you don't know what's going on with your credit card debt? And I'm not saying I have like an incredible amount of assets, but like, yeah, I'd probably get a prenup. Like, I don't want to have to be responsible for any debts like that.
Right.
Like, should they not be paid off or whatever? Anyway, so that was like a big point of contention in our relationship. And then he would drink and then like say rude things. And I'm like, hey, like when you said that, like, I understand maybe you don't want to talk about this anymore, but like that hurt my feelings, or like, this is what I'm feeling from that. And then he would double down, and then he would triple down, and then he didn't get it. And so then it just started to build, like, I'm frustrated and I'm annoyed. I'm like, what happened to that man that I could like talk to? What happened to that man that could be level-headed and that would, approach these conversations that we had before with like more grace and more understanding and more just intelligence.
Right.
And so
she said, get your money up, not your funny up.
Like,
What are you doing?
Right. I mean, he made an incredible amount of money. Like, he made more money than I did. So it was surprising to me that there would be such an insurmountable
amount of debt.
Yeah. Like, not that I think anybody should be like spending all their money just to pay off debt, like, or the money that they're like, that doesn't feel good either. But like, but what is it? Like, what are you paying? You know what I mean? What's your plan? Anyway, so that just became the demise of our relationship, because then I started to feel like I was undermined, and I felt like I was just like having these digs made at me. And I think it's because of my plan.
Mm.
and my financial standing, which again is not perfect. Like it's still not perfect,
Mhm.
right? I just have plans.
Mhm.
And I've since then I've paid off my student loans, which I was really excited about. And
Mhm.
then before that, I also had to take out a personal loan sometime around the time that he and I were dating because my AC went out and I didn't have $8,000 to just like drop, right? So
Yeah.
I had a plan where I'm like, okay, I got to pay this off faster. So I've paid that off
Mhm.
too earlier, probably in like maybe a year and a half less than that, versus like the 3-year loan or something
Mhm.
like that, 2 or 3, whatever it was. So I say that to say, like, I see these things and I'm like, I need to tackle it and not just like, well, you know, like I'm not going to be passive about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be a non-participant
Mhm.
in my financial
Right.
situation. So anyway, all of that to say, I think the way that it manifests itself in men, a few of the men that I've dated has been in that way.
Yeah.
Like there are 3 that come to mind where they like dig at me
Mm.
and yeah.
You don't cuss them out?
No, I'm
Because you
just not that
seem so, like, very
person.
prim and proper
Yeah.
and, but I'm like, sometimes they need to come
Yeah.
across the right one on
Mhm.
the right day, you know?
Right.
So, it's like you're better than
Well, I
me.
will say my ex-boyfriend, I haven't seen this side of me in probably 20 years.
Mm,
And, like, at the time where I was a hothead.
mm,
I was a hothead, like, quick to anger, quick to frustration, like, letting it out that in that kinda way, like, ripping someone a new one. I just haven't been that person
mhm.
in a long time. I mean, I guess she's in there, but she don't come out.
Yeah.
Like, she sleep.
Right, she's dormant. She's
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
like, she good.
Mhm.
But in going through these things with my ex-boyfriend, and I'm like, "You are not understanding," like, and I'm trying to, like, use my emotional intelligence and, like, explain, like, the way that I'm feeling or just, like, trying to, like, go through these interactions to, like, let him know where I was at, and he just wasn't getting it, and then he would, like I got to the point where I was like, "Listen, I recognize that my behavior right now is not conducive to a healthy relationship, and I'm not trying to make our relationship worse, so I just need some time." And he's like, "Yeah, because you have da 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 da, you've done the da," and I was like, "I have already said my actions are not conducive to a healthy relationship. So you telling me in this way to like go in on me is not helpful." So then I started to get fucking pissed off and
Mhm.
I was like fuming, like just the rage that came over me. I was like, like
Mhm.
I went
That's
in.
what I like to see. I feel like more men need to get cussed the fuck out
Yeah,
sometimes. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Because they be sleeping on you a little bit too much. And then
Yeah.
when they get cussed the fuck out, that's when they want to listen.
Yeah, right. So we took a break. We came back together. Long story short, he couldn't uphold what he was supposed to do, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done." A couple of days later, he wanted to get back together, and I was like, "No."
Mm,
And then a week later, same thing. He wanted to get back together, and because I had like sent him, like I had a note in my phone where I was just kind of laying in bed and just like hashing out like everything. It was like a
right.
brain dump. And so after the first time he wanted to get back together, I was like, "Listen, this is all I have to say. Like I didn't think we were ever actually going to talk again, but if you want to know what's going on in my brain, here is it."
Mhm.
So I sent them this very, very, very long like notes app
Mhm.
note, and then like a week later he was like, "I read it and you're right, it was going to be hard for me to read, but I talked to like so and so and da da da," and he's like, "They were saying the same things that you were saying. I just finally understood what you were saying." And I said, "I'm glad that you understand now, but I'm not interested in getting back together. It should
Mm,
not take that degree to which we are having arguments or disagreements and speaking to me in the way that you're speaking to me for you to understand the things that I was saying to you."
mm,
And or for somebody else to come in and say, "Hey, she's just trying to get you to understand or like trying to get you to grow or
mhm.
trying to get you to take accountability or whatever."
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in doing that shit again.
Damn. So how long has it been since you broke up with that man?
About 2 years.
2 years since
Yeah.
you broke up with him.
It'll be 2 years in September.
Has he tried to reach out since then?
No, but, like, although I removed him as a follower and I unfollowed him on Instagram, like, a year ago, I had posted some video and he liked it. So I don't know if he was, like I don't know if it popped up for him. I don't know if he, like, was looking for, like, I don't know, but I was like, that's really
Stalker.
weird.
No, just kidding. You're just
Right?
like, can't get enough of Donna
I
to see what
know.
you're doing, how you're living,
I
like that kind of
know.
thing. Do you ever feel like, because how long were you guys how long were you guys in a relationship?
Like 5 months, something like that, 5 or 6
5 months.
months.
It can get pretty intense.
Yeah.
I feel like relationship days are not the same as like other life days,
No.
right? Because you see each other so often. No, you guys were long
Well,
distance.
we were long distance, yeah.
Dang.
So we would have to like FaceTime and,
Yeah.
whatever.
But he had that effect on you, that impact where it was like y'all were seriously considering a
Yeah.
lot of things, met a lot of family members, like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Where'd you meet this man?
When I was out in Denver and I like had changed my Hinge location and we went on a date and
hit it off. Dang.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So going back to the finances and stuff, because I thought that was a really interesting topic. Would you ever date a man that made less than you?
Well, no,
No.
no, that's not a no. It's just like, it's more like, can we have the life together that I envision for myself? And are you stable? Or like, if you're stable and making less, that's different than
Right.
making less and struggling, So that's what I would think.
So it's not a dollar amount to you. It's about
Stability and security, being able to like still be able to build something together and not like, oh, well, we have to take on a crazy amount of debt or, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
I hear you on that. So in terms of like what it kind of looks like for you to, I'm trying to figure out how I want to verbalize this question. My brain is like going a million different places at once. But it's like, I feel like we've talked about so many different things, right? We've talked about motherhood. We've talked about now your career, and we've talked about dating, physical intimacy, all of that good stuff. I want to say, what does life look like for you in the next 5 years? Is how I'll ask that. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself married.
Okay.
I see myself with like at least those 2, maybe 3 other children, and just happy, and like in a house that I love and a man that I love, happy, healthy, capable, like all the things children, with my son like being the big brother that he's been wanting to be for years and years, and just like having that solid, safe place to land.
I love
would be what I envision my next 5 years to be.
Yeah. Do you see yourself in Idaho?
I don't know where, but I want to be somewhere, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
So you're not like locked in here. You're like, I could move. I could do.
Well, if we moved, it would be like with my ex-husband, but separately. So like we're always together, and not by we. I mean like my son, me and my son, or him and my son.
Right.
Yeah,
Because y'all you do your 50-50, your whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Genuinely, that's very. I mean, okay. So in terms of like marriage, right? Because that's like a huge one. I feel like it's a little bit more difficult for women who have been previously married. You get scarred. You never want to do that shit again. I feel like you have a very different perspective though, where you're like, you're excited. You're super giddy
because I'm not
about
scarred.
it.
Yeah,
Damn.
I'm not. I know.
Lucky. I'm like, shit.
I know. Talk about flipping the script. We're gonna have to like have a separate episode on yours because
you don't want to know, child. My divorce was ghetto.
Well, yeah, it wasn't that for me. It was like I printed out the paperwork, filled it out. I talked to him about it. Hey, like, does this look okay? We signed it, submitted it, waited the 3 weeks, and then we were divorced. And yeah, it's always like I would say 99% of the time, like we've been smooth sailing. There were a couple times where, honestly, I don't think it happened until probably 3 or 4 years until after our divorce, where like I actually blew up on him because I was so frustrated with him about something. But besides that, like we have a really good co-parenting relationship, and I mean, I'm proud of it. Like, I'm very proud of it. Like, we be in the same room, go to our son's soccer practices or to the games or do birthday parties and holidays and stuff like that together. And, should I get married or in a relationship or whatever, that it could change, but I don't know. We'll just see what that looks like when the time comes. But for now, like, we're good and
Yeah,
we're okay
chilling.
being in the same
Let's
spot.
get a little philosophical, right? Because you said you want to be happy,
Yeah.
right? What does happiness mean to you, Donna? What does happiness look like to
Yeah. I think happiness looks like how I already am.
you?
Because I am happy. Like, generally speaking, I'm a
Yeah.
happy person, you know? But when I think about, like, I'm such a romantic. That's the thing. Like, I envision like a greater happiness that comes out from, like, getting to share your life with someone. And because I do think, like, we're supposed to be with a soulmate, like a romantic soulmate. I do want that, and I do see that for myself. And so, like, last week with Greenbelt, for example, he got like a smidge of this because like when we were hanging out, we were just like talking and stuff. And then I found myself like smiling a lot and like feeling a little like maybe somewhat giddy, but also just like more childlike and kind of like more playful. And I like that side of me, you know, and not everybody gets to see that. Like my friends will, you know, see that probably more than like a romantic partner because with romantic partners, typically like my wall just goes straight up if they're, you know, that's not like the healthiest thing to do. But that's just a reality. And like my ex, he saw my wall go up because he no longer got to see like the fun loving.
Yeah.
He got the, frankly, almost like a businesswoman, like this is that. And
The
you know what I
PR.
mean? Yeah. Like it just, because it was no longer safe for me, you know? Whereas like last week with Greenbelt, he was like, it's fun to see like this kind of like childlike sort of playful, like I didn't realize that you were like this, you know? And like he like the way that he said it, it looked like it was in a good way. And I can't remember if I might have like asked something and he like clarified like yeah, like in a good way. And then also he didn't realize like how affectionate I can be. He was like, I was surprised by that because he was like, you know, like when we first met and maybe first were hanging out, he was like, well, some people just aren't affectionate and that's okay. But meanwhile, I'm like, like, come here. So
I love that. What's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
A Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what I thought you were like an earth sign and stuff like that. But okay, Gemini. What's your love language?
I don't know that I have like a specific language. I guess it'd be like, I don't know, the quality time.
Okay.
Yeah. And acts of service maybe.
Period.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So in your is that like both your giving and receiving? Or
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah.
Like I like to cook for people. I like to make sure people are good and happy and everything. Like I like to spend time together. I mean, physical touch would, I guess that's part of that. I see love languages as more of like a generally speaking, like these are things that we need versus like this is the only way that I can receive love or give love. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of veer away from love languages in that way, but I understand, you know, like how you're asking the question.
Yeah.
It just like
we all have them, but it's like where they rank in terms of importance to you. Because there are certain things that are going to make me feel more loved than others. Like for me, for example, I could give, like my last one is words of affirmation because I'm borderline conceited. And like I think so highly of myself that it's like when, you know, you get those compliments or whatever from like other people, it's more so of like, I don't want to call it validation, but it's like, oh, thank you. Like, you know, but it's not going to make me be like, oh my God, you love and care about me so much versus like when you do something for me, I'm acts of service and gifts are my number two or my top two. So when I get like a gift, I'm telling you, I'll be on the floor like in tears and like stuff like that. It could be something stupid. I'm literally like, you thought about me.
Because I get the whole compliment thing too, because compliments aren't really supposed to like make or break you. Okay, we're running out of time, but we will be back for another episode and to continue this conversation very soon.
Very soon, guys.
Yes.
It was so fun. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you for
Can't
being
wait
on.
to be on the next one.
How can people find you?
Social media, Cerose Cedoux. You can find me at Cerose Cedoux, Cerose Cedoux. Yes, it is French. And then you can also find me at Gin and Juice on some of my handles for my real estate. You can find me at CC Real Tea, right? Like not real tea, but like real tea, like TEA type shit.
Yeah. And I'll be sure to tag you and invite you as a collaborator too, so people can find you that way.
I love it. Thank you.
I can't wait for our next part of this.
Either.
Yes,
This was so fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.